So you see this as a problem that in the past we seem to be more empirical, evidence-based, which we still claim to be, of course.
Well, of course, we claim to be evidence-based at a time when the exact opposite. We've been taken over by big pharma.
Yeah.
The big pharmaceutical firms have told us what the science is, and so have the governments. They've said, follow the science, whilst they were, in fact, just having parties. And I don't know whether that, it does that. Do you remember that?
I do indeed. A place called Downing Street, which for our American viewers is the centre of power in the United Kingdom.
Yes, yes. And anyway, so what happened was that in 2017, I'd been invited to give a plenary lecture, a named lecture called the Long Fox Lecture, to Bristol University and the Bristol Medico-Chirurgical Society. That's the medical society. And that lecture was the history of plagues, 2017. And my last but one slide said, forthcoming pandemic, novel coronavirus. Because I was predicting it. But I wasn't the only person predicting it. There are quite a few people predicting this. And we knew what was going on in China. And we knew that the Americans were working with the Chinese. And we knew that SARS, the first SARS-1.
So that was 2001 sort of type.
2003.
2003, yeah.
You're very
three,
close.
That's right, yeah.
I'll give you a pass for that one. 2003. And this had been kept going in 6 different laboratories, and it had escaped several times, and it had killed people. So it struck me that if they keep playing around with these viruses, they will definitely escape, and there will eventually be one of the viruses that they're playing with will end up with a pandemic.
So this is 2017. You anticipated this 2 years ahead of the pandemic.
Yes, that's right. Actually, my last slide, I suggested that there would be a problem with computer viruses, computer hackers, that would affect healthcare, that we'd have a problem in the future. And I thought that would be further on than the coronavirus. It struck 1 week later.
I remember it well.
1 week later. And it took out a whole lot of the health service. And if it hadn't been for the fact that there was a computer hacker who realized that there was a back door into this and managed to stop it, who knows what would have happened? We don't know, because the problem is that a lot of the machinery that's used, for instance, MRI, computed tomography, ultrasound, and other things like that, they have embedded in them slave computers that use old software. Their operating systems are they're ripe for hacking, but that happened before the coronavirus, and I thought it would be the other way around. So yes, one can predict a future, but it's never going to be exactly the future you predict.
Can't resist asking you.
Yes.
What's in store for the next few years? Is there anything you're particularly concerned about?
Well, I was asked that at a meeting in Sheffield, which they said we're going to ask you to apologise for saying that the virus was made in the laboratory, otherwise we won't let you speak. So I said, yes, I will apologise. I certainly will. And they said, what? And then they went on at me. I said, no, I will apologise for saying that. So I got up and I said, I've been asked to apologise for saying that that the virus was made in China in the laboratory by the Americans with the Chinese. And I'm going to apologise. I'm very sorry that the virus was made in the laboratory in China by the Americans with the Chinese. I'm very sorry.
Indeed. I mean,
wasn't the apology that they actually wanted.
I mean, as far as I know, people are still working on viruses that could be as transmissible or way more transmissible than Omicron variant, for example. And
there's absolutely no doubt they're doing that.
As deadly as Or some hemorrhagic fever virus or something.
Exactly, yes. Well, the last question that I was asked was, okay, if you predicted this virus, as you say you did, what do you predict now? Which is what you've just asked me. And I said, well, there are several viruses that are still being adapted in the laboratories. I actually think the biggest threat is the gain of function studies. I actually think that these studies are ridiculous. When you speak to doctors and you say, they are taking viruses and they are making them infective in human beings.
Yes.
Doctors say, no, they wouldn't do that. That's too incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
That is exactly what they're doing. That really is
exactly
what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they call it gain of function studies, or now they've actually got rid of that term, and they've got another. They redefine it to say, no, we're not doing gain of function studies. No, we know that's banned. Oh, we're just looking at them to find out what sort of vaccines we need. Well, Pfizer have still been making new versions of COVID. That is known. Right, so Pfizer have been doing that. In biowarfare laboratories around the world, it's banned, of course, but in biowarfare laboratories around the world, they're still playing around with smallpox. Smallpox escaped from a Soviet laboratory back in 1971. I think it was called the Aral Sea incident, and quite a few people died, and it was brought under control. But so smallpox, if I was asked to create a biowarfare weapon, whatever, which I'm not going to be, and I would say the one I'm worried about is smallpox. Right, and people will say, yes, but we can vaccinate people. Yes, you can, but it's not perfect. The last person who died from smallpox died in Birmingham, and she was a photographer working in the laboratory above a biosafety level 4 laboratory, and she caught the smallpox and she died from it. In fact, the death rate from this one infection was 300% because her father came to see her in hospital. She was so ill that it shocked him. He had a cardiac arrest and died. The mother caught the smallpox but recovered. The man in charge of the laboratory committed suicide. So 300% mortality from the one in original infection. But so...
I'm sure we could have smallpox that was jiggled around with a bit as well, maybe put in a furin cleavage site or something onto that.
Well, this is what I think monkeypox is. You see,
Interesting.
I don't think monkeypox. I mean, suddenly we had an outbreak of monkeypox, right? But there's another one that there's already an outbreak of, which is bird flu, H5N1 bird flu. H5N1 bird flu. That was made pathogenic to mammals so that mammals could catch it from one mammal to another back in 2012 in the Netherlands using gain of function studies, using money from Anthony Fauci from America. And that was really the first successful gain of function piece of research. And now we've got an outbreak of H5N1, which the mammals are catching, and it's got exactly the same footprint and symptomatology as the one that was put through the ferrets in the Netherlands. So what do? They take this virus and they put it through animals that wouldn't normally catch it, and they keep doing this until they do catch it, but they do it in the presence of other viruses.
It's like an accelerated evolution, isn't it? With a bit of sexual reproduction of viruses thrown in.
It's just evolution, but they actually also mutate them purposely in the laboratory. They play around with them, add things. And the COVID has got extra furin cleavage site. It's got extra high charge on it. It's positively charged. It was passed through the humanized mice.
Yes.
And they, in the presence of a number of different viruses, which were stolen by Chinese virologists from Winnipeg. And the Chinese virologists who stole these viruses from Winnipeg, it was a female virologist and her husband. They were deported when it was discovered that they'd done this. They should have been in jail for 30 years. I mean, deporting them, it's just not good enough, is it? Because when they got back to China, they were lauded for their great success.
Well, it could have been diplomatically inconvenient, I would have thought.
Well, I think that's it. I mean, we're always looking at the diplomacy side, which is why, despite the fact that we know what they were doing when the virus escaped, the COVID, still they tell us we don't really know. We know exactly what they were doing.
We do.
I mean, are you aware? I'm sure you are, because you've been reading our books, but you know that they were actually testing the vaccine.
I've heard accounts that claim that, yeah, for sure.
Yes, well, what they were doing is they'd already made 2 vaccines by the autumn of 2019. They had them patented by the February of 2020, and some 3 months later, the man who had the patent, of course Chinese, he was dead, mysteriously dead, nobody knows why. Yeah. So we've got this situation that they've got these vaccines already by the autumn, and what are they doing? They vaccinate their political prisoners, and then they challenge them with the virus. And the vaccines are not perfect, so some of the prisoners catch the virus, and so do some of the investigators. And so the investigators are sent down to the main hospital. The people are told down there, keep quiet about it. And they do keep quiet about it. That's the top doctors keep quiet about the fact that there's this outbreak. They say, we'll deal with this. They sterilize the labs. There were 4 labs, by the way, not just the one, 4 laboratories. They sterilize the labs, but it doesn't stop it because it's already out. Mm-hmm. And so that's the beginning of that.